Hey, what's up everybody? So today I am at a job. Now this tank is over 10 years old and it's been up and running for a long time. Everything's doing very well and we only come out here about once every month or maybe every other month, but it's a very well established tank. It's a bit of an old school tank, the way it's set up. So we're here now, we're gonna do a water change on it, a good service on it. We'll test and check everything out. This tank is this guy's, it's his baby. He's had it for a long time. So let's go inside and let's go check out the tank. So right off the bat, when we walk in, you can just tell this is an old school, well-established, mature aquarium. You see how well a lot of the corals are doing. I mean, even the acros are doing pretty decent in this tank. There's tons of coralline algae on the rocks, on the glass, purple, red, and brown coralline algae all over the place. It's got that old school, deep sand bed. You can just see that. That's a really deep sand bed. Now he did make some improvements to his lighting system. He has some aqua illuminations, 3 of them up here, so this tank's getting plenty of light. But you can see it's a very narrow space to get in there and try to clean, and just the regular magnet scraper doesn't work really well, and this glass is pretty dirty. I see those zoas are just taking off. Just completely covered that frag rack and even trying to, even encroaching that glass. But as I'm looking right now, everything looks pretty good. Everything looks pretty healthy. I don't see anything off just visually that causes me any concern. Just a bunch of, well-established and healthy corals. All the fish in this tank are doing well too. I think there's some, we have some clowns obviously up front, Melanaris wrasse. I'm not quite sure what else is in here. I'll have to take a look around. But there's a good amount of coralline algae on these rocks. You see there's some acros right there. The polyps are out. That's a good sign. Anytime you see that on a coral. And then over here, he has just a little hang on the back filter. And this is where he does some fragging from the big tank and he puts them into the small tank. So you have some little frags right here, but it's a really simple setup in this tank. Now I won't be maintaining this tank today. He kind of does his own thing here. So it's just got a simple hang on the back filter. He just tops it off. I think he's got a UV sterilizer on here, a simple protein skimmer. I'm not sure what that light is, but yeah, we won't be servicing this one today, but this is where he keeps his excess coral and his frags and stuff like that. Real simple setup. But back to the tank that we will be servicing. Here's the filtration and what it looks like. Now, this is what makes me worried. There's not a lot of room underneath here. And this is what really gives it away that this is an older tank, is the filtration system. I mean, this is a 110-gallon tank and you have a very small sump. I mean, the protein skimmers, it's kind of crammed in there. It's still got the bio balls in there like the old school tanks had. And it has an external pump instead of an internal pump, but this also goes into a UV sterilizer and then branches off into a chiller as well. It's a little bit temperamental, so we'll have to be careful. So let's go ahead and clean this glass off so we can take a little better look inside. This stuff is on there good. I mean, you can't just wipe this off. Even with like my fingernail, it doesn't come off really well. So you really got to put, use some elbow grease for it to come off. A magic eraser won't work. Just even using this scraper with a magnet doesn't really apply enough pressure. So I really got to get my arm in there and apply pressure to it. These clownfish are not making it easy for me. They just keep taking bites out of me. Look at this. Just keep attacking me. Can I do my job, please? They keep biting me. I know they don't want me in here, poor guys. I'm just gonna pretend like they're kisses and not bites. So we got a better look in the aquarium, clean the glass off a little bit, and man, those torches look beautiful now that you can really see them. Love those things. So now, because this is an older tank, it's always risky doing services on older tanks because there's a lot that can go wrong. In this particular tank, I'm worried about Because the sump is so small in this tank, we gotta be very careful when we do this water change now, because if we don't get it just right, water will literally overflow. When we turn the tank off, water will literally overflow that sump and we'll get water like all over the floor, and it will be an absolute disaster, a mess. I really need a bigger sump for this tank. It's definitely not balanced right, but this is what it is. And so I'm gonna get the water change set up, and then we'll start getting some of that water out before we turn the tank off. But for sure with this tank, I gotta be like on high alert, because I don't want to flood somebody's house. That's not a good look. Bring out the 100-foot hose. I got plenty of hose right here. All right, we got the water change going. All right, so we're about this. Take about that much water out. I turned off the return pump. Let's just make sure that we're not gonna overflow here. So the water level is staying right here, so that's good. Everything's off, so let me just make sure this doesn't back up in any way. Seems like the water level is staying good. In order to change this out, we'll have to disconnect this, pop this off. Seems like we're okay. And then we just take this out and get to the filter floss underneath there. And we'll put a brand new one in there. And then you just got some bio balls right there. So I think we'll take it down about a little less than halfway. Keep in mind, this is a 100-foot hose, so there's probably a good, I think 10 gallons just in the hose alone. So take it down maybe a little bit farther, as far as this can go. We'll probably take it down 50%. The coralline algae growth in this tank is insane. That's when you know it's a mature tank. And you got coralline growing all on the back there, all over the rocks, all different types of coralline. You got purple, you got red, you got brown. It's crazy. I still can't get over how deep that sand bed is. That's insane. I wouldn't even attempt to gravel back that. I don't even know where to begin. Wow. This is definitely by far the deepest sand bed of any tank that we service. And it's not even close. It's gotta be like 6 inches. If you notice, the rocks are sitting on top of the sand and they're not underneath it. So that could create some stability issues. When you set up a tank, you always want to make sure your rock is on the glass, and then you have the sand around it, just in case, you know, sand moves and you want to, you know, we don't want that rock tipping over. Now, one of the things I like about these Red Sea skimmers, you see I have filled with water right here, but say that's like your all the stuff you pull from the tank. You have this piece that comes out, but if you don't want to take your skimmer out all the time, like I used to have to do with when I had skimmers in the past, you have to take the cup off, you have to, like, you know, wash it out or whatever, take it out of the tank. With this one, you really don't have to take it out of the tank. Now, I do it for customers just so they never have to take it out. But you have these little like winch, like these little almost like squeegee blades right here that you can just kind of turn this around. This kind of, you just turn this around inside here and it will clean the inside of all that guck and nastiness in the neck of the skimmer will all come out. You'll get all that stuff out with these blades so it'll look clean. But then all the stuff that collects in the cup like this, you have this. Now a lot of skimmers have hoses, but I don't think I've seen a hose this long. I don't think any skimmer has ever had a hose this long, at least that I've worked with. If you know of one, please tell me. And you just open that up, and then you can just keep this underneath the tank, and you can just drain all that nastiness without even having to take this out of the tank, if you prefer to do that. But you got plenty of hose length to work there. So this can be underneath your sump in your tank, and you have all this hose, you have a little bucket, and you just go like that, and you never really have to take this out. All right, so we're filling back up slowly. I do not want to flood this tank. slowly. Things always sketch me out just because you really have to work with them to know like the little things that can go wrong. And sometimes when the tank's this old and they're kind of set up, somebody sets them up a certain way, you really gotta know the way to deal with them. Otherwise you could have disaster. Like I said, this right here can easily overflow if you don't get filling and turning that return pump and turning it off just right. So it wasn't coming out of here originally. Now it is coming out, but it's coming out very slowly. The only difference I did was, if you look at the electric, it's definitely could use some wire management, is just turn that off and on, mess with the wires a little bit, and now we got some water finally coming out at the top here. So, but can't let my guard down because we're still filling relatively slowly. We still got to get to that overflow and make sure everything's timed right. Because if we fill too much, and then there's water all over the floor, and it's not a good look. You scared, Ryan?
No.
You're not scared? Okay, I'll go wait in the van. So we got some water finally going through the overflow, and it's hitting here. So now, go ahead and turn this off. And we want that water level to be right up to here, no higher. We got water going through a UV, you got water going through a chiller. All that has to kind of balance out. And then we'll see where this is leaves us. The good thing though is you got all that nastiness, that skim on the top there of that water. That's all gonna go over that overflow and then be taken up by that filter floss that we just replaced. So we're wrapping up here. We waited about 15 minutes and the water level seems to kind of stabilized. Looks like we're good. So we're right at that black tape. So that's all good. Everything is working. It took a bit to get this pump going, but it is going now. You ever go fishing for a clownfish before?
No.
Watch this. Look at that. Oh, it's a nice tasty finger right there. Come on. Don't be shy now. Oh, there, you got it. Oh, look, look. All right, we're all set here. I'm still a little nervous. I don't know why about this overflowing, but we've been here long enough to where I don't think that's gonna happen. So we're all good. So that is one of the more difficult jobs I have, not so much because of what's in the tank, but just because of the tank itself. It's an older aquarium and it's kind of rigged up a certain way, and it just takes becoming familiar with it. What did you think of that job, Ryan?
We did good.
What did you think of the tank?
It's just old-fashioned.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. So we just have to get used to it. Once we get used to it, it should be easy.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.